So, what's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning into this channel. My name is Simon Hill, Black American from Louisiana, coming to you live from Budapest, Hungary. And I'm here with my beautiful wife. Say hi, boo.
Hi, everyone. This is Akdi, and I'm from Turkey. And yeah, we're back at it, just like the old days. I'm only missing my.
Yes. Yo, we got to stop drinking less, man. I'm having headaches. You know what I mean? Too hungover. You know what? I'm going completely
You
sober.
have
I'm going to get back on my beam.
you have to stop drinking. I don't drink that much.
Stop playing. Not as much as you used to. And yeah, we need to get back healthier because we need to outlive these white supremacists and these racists who have all the money in the world to give it to a racist white woman, man. It's a crazy story that we're going to be talking about today. And it's one I've been waiting to talk about for some time as the facts unfold in this story. And essentially, it's the story of Shiloh Hendrix. I'm sure everybody's heard about it by now. This happened about a week and a half ago or so. And essentially, this white woman was at a park and she accused some 5-year-old autistic black child of stealing from her son. And so then she goes on a racist tirade against the boy, calls him the N word, right? And this other black man is at the park videotaping her, speaking with an accent. Sounds Somali, sounds very African. And he's like, "You call the boy the N word? You call him the N word? Is this what you do? You are going viral. Let's see what the internet has to say about this." And so she does go viral, and not in the way we expect, not in the way where she's fired from her job, where she's ashamed to come back in public, where she makes some public apology, where she lawyers up and defends herself in the court of public opinion. Instead, she opens up a GoFundMe that gets shut down. Then she opens up a donation on a website called Give Send Go and is close to earning $1 million. She's close, like $300,000 away from earning $1 million, 7 figures, from calling a black child the N-word. It's hilarious. We can actually, at this point, can people even deny that anti-blackness exists?
I think there will always be people who denies that it exists, but I just think it's getting harder and harder to not see like what's obviously in your face.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your reaction to the story? When you first heard about the story, what did you think of it?
I mean, when I first heard about it without the donation part, I was like, oh, like it's just another, racist person. And I felt sad for the kid and for the guy, for the father. And I immediately thought, like, oh, like, what if that was my future kid or something like that? What if that something like that happened to our kid? We don't have a kid, but, I do want a kid. So that was like my immediate thought. And I would also like just thinking of how I would react, I would have probably done the same thing, like just put up the phone and record the bitch. And yeah. And then after the whole donation started, I was thinking like, oh, wow, like we used to be able to spot these type of people and somehow like expose them to like other righteous people online, but now that doesn't even work and they get rewarded for it. So like all the Karen videos that we watch, they're gonna also like start a GoFundMe or whatever, and start making money off of it. Like that's just, I don't know. It feels like a Black Mirror episode. The way like she became rich out of it.
Now, there's a lot of parts to the Shiloh Hendrix story that I want to talk about and want to delve into because the saga is deep. It's deep like a Tyler Perry show. Like there's many different characters, many different plot lines to follow. So, yeah, my initial reaction was like, oh, it's another racist Karen. But I had never seen anything like this where, the donations poured in. In fact, know what? Let me take that back. I have seen something like this, but it was for more ambiguous situations. So there have been times, like for example, when a police officer shoots a black man in the back, or kneels on his neck, and people donate to that cause, and that's bad. Or for somebody like George Zimmerman, this civilian who was following this little black boy who was wearing a hoodie, and holding Skittles in his hand, and then he ends up fighting the boy while he's walking home and ends up killing him, right? And people donated to George Zimmerman. Now, I just totally disagree with that, and obviously those are fueled by racist intentions, as people donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to Zimmerman and other police officers. But that's still, you're innocent until proven guilty, technically, in the court of law. So people donating to somebody's legal defense fund, in general, I understand it. In general, I understand that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it would be different if this woman were charged with a crime. She's not charged with the crime yet. She's just been recorded using the N word, and people like that. And that's the part that's so surprising for me. And so I haven't seen anything like that in this part.
Yeah. I think it also like sort of answers the question you asked earlier. Like, can people deny anti-blackness? Can people deny white supremacy? They can't, because they are in it and they fully accept it and they're not ashamed of it. Obviously, like if that many people, donated that much money into it, then it's just something that exists and they know it, but they just won't like admit it. And in some cases, they straight up admit it and say, like, yeah,
Hmm.
I hate Black people or stuff like that.
Hmm.
So I think yeah, I think we can say that it's obviously there and people have no shame.
No shame in their game at all. And I think to some degree, I think that it's possible that social media, of course, has amplified this, with the monopolization of our platforms like Instagram and Twitter, now X, and Facebook as well, right? There have been, they're owned by a few very rich and powerful people, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, et cetera, right? And these guys are trending rightward. Zuckerberg is sucking up to Trump.
Mm.
Elon Musk is full on MAGA Nazi and that sort of stuff. So they make these platforms easier for people to come out and just be explicitly hateful and express their racist views, and
Yeah.
also get backing for it. Because, a lot of the times, and I'm sure you know this as a psychologist, a lot of the times people's beliefs or things they do are only done because other people sanction them, right? Like,
Yeah.
most people don't go outside and say, I hate women, or, I hate gay people, because that will be quickly, shut down by other people, right? But if you're in an echo chamber where people support that type of talk, then more and more people will be emboldened to do it and go even further.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there is definitely like a herd mentality there, or like I guess there was the fear of being what was it called, canceled. But
Yeah.
now it's like people don't even have the fear of being canceled. And I'm not saying that like racist people didn't exist before Trump or anything like that, but I think also like what he brought to the country is a lot of hate and discrimination, like with his policies and everything. And that also fuels people who are white supremacists, and they feel like there is someone who will defend them. And I feel like they feel like Trump thinks the same way or something.
Yeah.
So they're
Or
like, even if I go to court or even anything like that happens, they feel like there's some security to their hate.
And that's actually backed up by proof. I mean, his rhetoric, for one, has been insane, saying Muslims don't belong in America. We need to ban Muslims from America. I don't think, these woke professors love our country, like calling Colin Kaepernick a son of a bitch for kneeling while in protest against black people getting murdered by the police. So, yeah, he's been a pretty wicked dude just for his rhetoric, but also in policy, because while we're talking about, Shiloh Hendrix getting $1 million for calling a black person the N word, right? A child. The Trump administration a few weeks ago gave $60 million to a white woman who tried to invade the Capitol on January 6th, Ashley Babbitt. This woman that tried to break into the Capitol with a mob of MAGA retards who bursted in there and got shot in the neck and died by a black police officer, by the way. She got $60 million from the Trump administration. So yeah, exactly like what you're saying, Acti. Like their rhetoric is not only emboldened, but their actions are emboldened, and that's why we're living in a very dangerous time in America, because the racists feel like they can say anything and also do anything. They might get punished, but they're gonna get, exonerated later by this
Yeah.
powerful administration. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like if you have hate in your heart and then you feel like there are no consequences for your actions or minor consequences for your actions, I think already like white supremacists are so, I don't know, like passionate about their cause, which doesn't make sense at all.
Hmm.
But they are just like so much, there's so much fuel of hate in them that even before when it was like illegal they were doing it, and now they're enabled by the system and by the government and by like rich billionaires, and that makes it like even easier for them to do everything.
Yeah,
And I didn't know about like that lady who invaded the White House and got like money. That's sad
Ashley
because
Babbitt.
it's like, people can't get reparations, but she gets money for
She
what?
gets she get no her family gets $60 million because she broke the law and tried to attack police officers and attack politicians who were just certifying the election, right? But enough of talking about, the white supremacists, because of course they're ridiculous and also dangerous, right? But more, I think now we need to think about the opposite perspective, in that, there are some black people who like to say we like our racism front and center. We like it out in the open. We want to know who's the racist. We want people to say it directly to our face. And I find this hilarious because as somebody from Louisiana who grew up with racism in his face all the time, I'm like, are y'all really happy now? I'm like, y'all getting what y'all asked for. And the second thing, people like to say, oh, racism up north is different than down south because they up there they're more discreet with it. They're more, behind your back, passive aggressive racist. But this happened in Rochester, New York. You know what I mean? Not a blue haven, but it's, kind of more liberal than Louisiana. And so, yeah, are people really? What do you think about people who say, they want their racists out in the open? You get what I'm saying?
Hey, Avery, you gotta
Shout out to Avery as well. Avery, stick around because we're gonna get Acty to say the N word and we're gonna raise $1 million.
I am not saying the N word, and I don't need
Acty,
to say the N word.
Acty, come on. This is the way. As Avery said, it's the way. This is
No.
all you have to do. This is all you have to do, Acty.
All you have to do for what?
So we can get it out the hood, man. We
Wow.
need to get out the hood.
So I can start a GoFundMe.
Start a GoFundMe. I need you to go to the nearest playground, find the blackest child, and call him the N word.
Wow. That is just do you think that she intended to do that? I'm gonna answer your question, but
Now
yeah.
that's the reason why I made the thumbnail of the video this. I think this nigga knew what he was doing.
No, you think? Well, you think she knew that she was gonna like make money out of it?
I think this is what happened. I think when it happened, somebody messaged her, found her on Instagram, whatever, sent her a DM and said, "You did the right thing. Let me help you on the way." This is
Mm.
what I think. Because the white supremacists, they operate in channels like through Discord and on social media. And like there are rumors that the guy who shot up the supermarket, the Peyton Gentron, he was
Mm.
being helped by somebody through Discord. They have his chats and everything. I'm
Mm.
going real deep conspiracy theory now. But
Yeah.
there are people on these networks online who are guiding people to flame these racial tensions and also commit these heinous acts. But I don't know. That's my theory. Any comments? What do you think?
I mean, I think it could have even be Give Send Go, like, someone who works at Give Send Go, maybe a recruiter or something to gain attraction for the website, because that's what
Hmm.
happened like at the end. And you were watching like this interview with the founder of Give Send Go the other day, and he sounded like retarded as fuck,
Yeah.
and racist.
Yes.
So yeah, I think even that could have happened.
Avery
Yeah.
says, "Did you see Mark Lamont Hill spaz on Piers Morgan's show? Not everybody is into race play." Acty, please don't say it. We saw
No.
Mark Lamont Hill spaz out. What was your reaction to that, Acty?
Oh my god. It was an insane show. The lady who was like outright just racist, and she was saying like, "Yeah, I say the N-word all the time." That was just
And
insane.
Piers is like, "Well, go on then, say it, you
Yeah.
disgusting racist."
Yeah, Mark Lamont. Like, I think I very much respected him even more because I liked him before, but he was like standing on business. He was like, "Do not say it to me in front of me," and
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I at that moment I understood what Piers was doing because he's operating in that old fashioned mind like it's 2002, where if somebody says the N word, we automatically think that person's canceled, disgusting, racist. But
yeah,
as the story shows of Shiloh Hendrix, if this white woman did say the N word on Piers Morgan's national TV show, she might get more attention, more buzz, more love. What did you think?
yeah, definitely. Like, at first, I kind of wanted her to say it just so I could see her like get devastated by other people. I guess actually get canceled, but we don't know if that was gonna happen. Like, for all we know, white supremacists could have taken that clip of hers and saw it as like a heroism. They could have
Mm-hmm.
said, "Oh, she's our hero. She has like
Mm-hmm.
the confidence to do it," and see it like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I think going back to the question though, because I want to talk about Mark Lamont Hill and all of the comments and stuff like that. But back to the question about racism in your face. Do you think this is, what people should want? Should they want? Because that was a talking point. Like, I want people to say it to my face.
I mean, I don't know how qualified I am to talk about this, but I think, in my opinion, just with any type of oppression, I would say, the more underlying, the more systematic one, it feels a bit easier to deal with. And then
Mm-hmm.
when you have outright just police brutality, putting people in prison and stuff like that, I feel like that's much more like scary because
Mm-hmm.
that one comes with systematic plus the actual physicality of everything and the
Yeah.
verbalization of the. So I don't know, like, just because someone is like being racist again in your face, it doesn't mean that other types of racism doesn't exist. It just adds on it. So I
Yeah.
don't really understand. It feels like, I don't know, like, I don't get this point where they think, oh, like, racism in the South comes with also the systemic racism that exists in the North.
Dog, you a genius. You a genius. That's so real. That's so real. Because in the South, like we have it in your face, and it's institutional. And it's like people that are saying we want it in our face. It's like, bro, we got you want double problems. You want them.
Yeah,
You want the Mississippi problems. You get what I'm saying? But yeah,
yeah.
let's go to the comments. Could you read some of the comments for us?
Okay, let's see. Um oh, Avery said the white lady is disgusting. I'm liberal now. Simon has a new run.
That's
And
hilarious. Is that all it took? Is all it took was a snow bunny to say the N word to a child, and then it's like, oh, gotta burn the MAGA hat now.
we just have to like expose the racist snow bunnies.
Okay, racist snow bunnies. But for some people, that's a fetish. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. I'm gonna keep it absolutely real. There are some people that saw Shiloh Hendrix say the N word and they got a heart on. They got a big black heart on.
That I cannot understand. I cannot like comprehend in any point. But I mean, I want to say there's no kink shaming, but that's just like a whole another level of a kink. So
Yeah.
uh see a therapist.
But wait. Some women like to be called slut, whore, all that type of stuff while in the bedroom. And those are
Yeah,
words weaponized against women. So
yeah.
how is it strange to say, oh, there are some black people that are interested into race play, male and female?
Uh, that's also very problematic for me. I would never want someone to call me a slut or a bitch in the bedroom. See a therapist also. But I think but I think just in general, like, those sort of gendered slurs are a bit more like used by everyone, you know. Uh
Uh-huh.
it's a bit more mainstream than, I guess, the racial part. I don't know.
I get you. Nelson Moreno says, I'm one of those people Simon talking about. That's funny as hell.
Yeah, and Nelson also joined the chat, and he said, "I will no longer make jokes about white people."
All right. We have a new guy in here. You don't like my music. He says it's obviously not personal issue. Racism is institutional. Facts. And maybe, Shiloh's an idiot. Yeah, maybe she's an idiot. Or maybe she's just really smart, man. Maybe she planned this thing all out. Maybe she knew it was going to go down this way.
I mean, I don't know. I think your theory made more sense, that she somehow got a connection to sort of made this whole money thing happen.
Right. And my theory, I feel like, because in her give send go, description, she said, I have been doxxed, I have been abused, and all for calling the kid what he is.
Mm,
And the reason she used that phrasing that makes me think that, oh, somebody told her about this, is because that's the same phrasing that we see from white supremacists online all the time. They say, we're just calling you what you are. You are the N word. You get what I'm saying? Because that's
yeah.
what y'all act like. That's how y'all think. That's how y'all move. You get what I'm saying? So that makes me think she's dating a man who was a white supremacist that told her that, or somebody told her to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Nelson asked, wait, she dates black men?
Now,
So
now,
I, I think it might be also about that as well.
okay, all right. So there's a lot of parts to the Shiloh Hendrix story that we have to break down. So first and foremost, there was a picture floating around not long after the incident that showed a skinny blonde white woman kissing a very tall black man. Right? He looks like daylight. He looks like he looks like Ab Soul. It looks like I'm joking. I'm joking. It looks like she's kissing a very dark skinned black man. Some people are saying that's not her. Some people saying that is her. It's from her past engagement to a black man, right? Obviously, she's not with him now, as far as we know. But there are some theories out there that she was dating black men. Another thing that was brought up in this story is that the person who videotaped the incident was a convicted sexual predator of children. And the person who did this should not have even been on the playground in the first place. And this person was, not a African American, but an African in America, right? And you can hear that from the accent. So let's just start with that. I don't know, Acti, what part do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about her possibly dating black men, or the sexual predator on the playground?
I mean, okay, I think her dating a black man, I don't know how she can come out even more racist.
It's
But
possible. It's totally
it,
possible.
yeah, I can also
And-
sort of depend on kind of, what kind of black man it is he is, So I don't want to say too much about it. I don't want to get
Mhm.
canceled.
Dude, don't worry about getting canceled, because anything you say could get us $1 million. Say the wrong thing and make us $1 million.
Wow. Just the part that, like, the guy was an African and he wasn't supposed to be in the playground or whatever. The thing is, like, first of all, I don't know how Shiloh could know that he was a offender just
No,
by.
no, people online found out later. The
Yeah,
guy.
but that's what I'm saying. It has nothing to do with the incident because she
Oh.
didn't know that he was an offender. And even if he is, even if he had like an ankle bracelet or whatever, it does not give her the right to, like, just call out racial slurs to anyone. It doesn't, like, just because you are in the prison system or just because, you are a criminal, which we know how the criminal system in America works. It constantly is a trap for, like, black lives. So just because you're in the system doesn't mean you don't deserve basic human respect and rights.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't think that's cool. I don't know what he was doing, if like these allegations are true about the guy, but I don't think it really relates to the story.
Hmm. Okay. All right. That's a good point. That's a good point. I think, on one hand, I found that very interesting. This whole situation feels orchestrated specifically for like the 4chan right wing Twitter audience, right? Pedophile on the playground, white woman calls a black child the N word, millions of dollars raised. It all seems too perfect. I kind of feel like this was orchestrated by the Russians or the North Koreans or something. I don't know why I'm becoming more conspiratorial as I get older, but I feel like this is way too perfect of a situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as him not being allowed on the playground, I do think that is an issue we should also speak about. You know what I mean? Because if I found out there was a pedophile on my kid's playground, you know, that might be something I might be more concerned with initially than the white woman calling the black child the N word. Number one, I feel like I have to move. We got pedophiles on the playground and racist white women. Like if I was living in that area, I'm like, I got to get out of this city. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I feel like whose responsibility is to keep him out of the playground?
Himself and the police. Even though I don't
Okay,
believe in police, but
sure.
he
Yeah,
know better.
let's put like a drug addict into a bar full of drug dealers and drugs and
Hmm.
tell him to, like, not do anything. I
Yeah.
feel like that doesn't make sense. Because what if he has like the playground right next to his house, like, and if
Yeah.
the actual pedophile, then he's gonna want to go there.
Hmm. Very true. Let's jump into these comments real quick. So Avery says the black man gave her a big black baby and left her. That's why she's mad. Do you think it's possible? Do you think it's possible that after dating a black man, they say once you go black, you never go back, but that a white woman with the wrong type of black man can make her hate black people? Do you think that's possible?
I think it's possible, but I think it's dumb. Like,
Yeah.
why would you just like blame a whole race for one person? That
Hmm.
doesn't make sense. And I feel like if that already happened, like if she hates all black men or all black people after dating one bad, black dude, then I feel like she was already racist
Hmm.
in her head, or she was just hiding it or something.
Let's say Shiloh does have a big black baby, put in her by Shannon Sharp. This
What
is
is
he's
a big
referenced.
baby?
No,
Okay.
there's this guy named Shannon Sharp. He's a podcaster, former footballer, and
Yeah.
recently he got in trouble for dating a 19-year-old OnlyFans model. And
Isn't
they,
he the one who accidentally like exposes sex noises?
yeah, he was the one on camera, and so yeah, his text messages leaked with this girl who's now suing him for millions of dollars. And in their text messages, Shannon was saying, "I'm gonna put that big black baby in you," and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna take that big black baby, and then you're not gonna get rid of me." So Shannon Sharp was into like some weird race play type of thing. But let's say Shannon does have a black or mixed race child. Should she lose her children? There's some people saying she should lose her kids if she's raising them in a racist environment. What do you think about that?
Most of the time, I'm never like under. Most of the time, I don't blame the woman for this. Like in any case, I feel like, yeah, the baby should stay with the mom. But there are like those cases that are just gonna really turn out really, really bad. And I kind of put Shiloh in the same place where I would put like a very drugged out mother, that
Mm,
like the baby is not going to be safe. And I
mm-hmm,
feel the same way because as a black person in America, I think, they owe that baby to know like his true culture, his true
mm-hmm.
power. And I don't think he should have a racist mother.
Yeah, I think that you know what? I think proper punishment wouldn't be for Shiloh to go to jail. Uh, I do think, she should have to pay money to this family, to that special needs child she called the N word, right? But I do think a proper punishment would be for her to lose her kids, the white one and the black one. And the white one has to go to a black family. The white one has to go to the white one has to go live with Dr. Umar. The white the white baby has to live with Dr. Umar for the rest of
White
his
baby's
life.
gonna come out and say, "No snow bunnies, black queens forever."
Snow bunnies never, black queens forever. Ain't that right? Ain't that right? So yeah, the white baby has to go to Dr. Umar, and the black baby gets to go live with the Obamas or something. I don't know, but yeah, she should lose her kids, and I think we should actually make that a law. Like, we have too much free speech in America, and if you are a parent of any race, no. No, just for white people. Just for white people. If you're a white man or a woman raising your child in a racist household, you should lose your children. If you're caught saying the N word around your son or your daughter or making racist remarks about other groups of people, you should lose your kids, period. You
I
shouldn't have right to have children.
I don't think that's the ideal solution, but I wish like America, for example, had some sort of punishment. It's not even a punishment really. It's like education and about like hate speech, about race, about like everything that concerns being a white supremacist. I think there should be like a mandatory education program, like how alcoholics go to AA meetings,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And they should also put in a program where they are like sort of transformed into a better person.
Yeah, yeah. We should have like some education for people, but right now they're trying to fight that. The current administration is trying to ban the teaching of history and all sorts of negative stuff. Let's go to the comments here. Spark 410 says, "Why are all babies not automatically paternity tested at birth?" I don't know if that has anything to do with the topic, but any comments on that?
I don't know, because people usually trust each other.
Yeah, I would assume so. People trust their partners. But yeah, going to Avery, I noticed that about the other side. And by the other side, I think he means the right or the racist right. They are scared of us, meaning black people, and it shows. Even that lady on the Morgan show tried to say black people don't know how to shoot weapons. I was like, but our people keep dying. LOL. I mean, that's a good point. What I didn't like about the Pierre show is that they had that racist white woman on that said, "Oh yeah, I say the N word all the time." Like, too many people are getting platformed in our society with no type of education, no type of actual status. Like, the reason that woman went viral is because like last year she made a tweet or a video that said, "I'm sick and tired of broke ass niggas." And that's all it took for her to go viral, and then she just kept running with it, and now
Yeah.
she just uses the hard R online. And I'm like, why are we even allowing people to even talk on these platforms? What do you think about that, Acti? Are we platforming too many voices?
And that's such a like tough question to answer, because if you take one away, then you have to take the others away. Or like the right is gonna say, oh, but why is she like allowed to say freedom for Black lives or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or why is he allowed to say free Palestine and those type of things. So I think it's gonna affect both sides if you inspect social media that much. And that is kind of the social media problem. I don't think it's a problem we can solve through blocking people and not allowing them to have platform, really. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's more institutional and more like psychological as well, and
Mm-hmm.
generational as well. So it goes very.
I'm sorry, but shout out to Amy. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
But anyway, I don't think the social media banning is the solution. The problem is actually the people who watch them and then like take it really to heart and then make those people their heroes and influencers.
Yeah, but I just feel like, there have been so many people like the Andrew Tates and that woman on the Piers Morgan show who just have a bigger voice than people who actually know things. You get what I'm saying? And let's be frank, even on the racist right, they have their educated elite who can talk about their issues and secretly coded in a way that makes it even sound reasonable. But now they're at the point where black life has been so degraded, it's like they don't even need to bring out the closeted racists who hide it behind intellectualism. They just bring up a straight up, Mark Lamont Hill is a PhD holding professor who has written several books. And he is on the same panel as a white woman who went viral for saying nigga online in reference to her sleeping with black men and her being tired of sleeping with broke niggas. And now she just turned that into a racist grift. It's like, what are we talking about here? Like, in so many ways, this Shiloh Hendrix story has revealed the anti-blackness that's just everywhere, that's prevalent, and how much they really are playing in our faces and disrespecting us. You get what I'm saying?
I mean, I guess it also comes down to the one of the first questions that you asked, like even in social media, would you rather have like these white supremacists be outright open and be influencers, or would you want them to do it like in a coded way, like how they used to? Which one is
Mm-hmm.
better? Which one is worse? But I think maybe the only advantage of having them outright in the open and being shameless could trigger more people for a revolution, for a change. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the only positive side that I can see, but I still
Mm-hmm.
don't think we should you know police social media.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, well, going to the comments because we have a lot of comments. Shout out to Avery Adams as well, telling people to hit the like button. But I want to go to You Don't Like Music, and he said he had a good comment here that I wanted to read. He said most pedophilia and sexual abuse in general is interfamilial and goes unreported, and that was in reference to the guy who was on the playground, who was supposedly a sexual abuser, but was there where children were, where he shouldn't have been, but happened to catch this incident. And as a psychologist, actually, what do you know about that?
I think once again, I don't think those two things are connected.
Yeah, but I'm talking about that pedophilia and sexual abuse is mostly in the family, and it's not reported. Have you studied anything about that or know anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, child sexual abuse, yeah, it does come from the people that are closest to you. It's most of the time, it's fathers, it's uncles, it's brothers, or
Mm-hmm.
aunts. It could also be the other sex as well. So, yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
a fact. Like, statistically, that is true. It usually
Yeah.
doesn't come from a stranger. That's very rare.
Right. And that's not excusing the guy if he is a sexual predator for being on the playground, but more than likely, children are being abused by people they know. And I think that guy was there maybe just passing by, or maybe he was there with, one of his family members. I don't know the whole situation, but I do think at least he didn't touch any kids that day. He didn't touch any kids that day, as far as we know. He did something heroic in his life, maybe to make up for his sins. Who knows? Uh,
Yeah. I
going to
mean,
Calvin. I'll go. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I know that, like, pedophilia might not be exactly curable.
Hmm.
So yeah, but I think, we don't know if he's actually doing any crimes currently just because he was convicted before.
Right. Going to another comment, Calvin Dickerson says, "Here's the thing: I've seen black people call their kids the N word and say the N word, and nobody says nothing. Not saying she's right either." See, that goes to. I really hate comments like that, and that's where I might go off on Simon Rant time. But I really hate when people do the both side thing. Oh, but black people say the N word, so she should call a black child the N word with the hard R. Number one, not every black person says the N word. Not every black person says the N word. I didn't grow up hearing my mom and my dad call each other niggas and bitches or call me nigga and shit like that. I heard that when I went outside. And even then, people that say this, I feel like really don't know black people. Or unfortunately, if they are black, have had such a limited amount of experiences in their life that all they think of as black is related to a certain poverty mind state. There are black folks who don't use that word, who don't run around and say it all the time. I say it all the time, but that's because that's my choice. And that's one of the few advantages, if any, of being black. But there is no both sides to that. There is no both sides to calling somebody a racial slur in a derogatory manner and black people as a community using that word amongst ourselves. I really hate that type of rhetoric. I don't know where you could go, how you could even draw that out of your mind. You get what I'm saying? But any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's like in the real world, it's nothing is like that black and white. Oh, they can do it, so we can do it, because there is historical context to it. There is certain social and institutional context to it that allows certain groups to do certain things for them. And it's not even like a word that's harmful to others. It's nothing like, you know, um, it's not like a privilege, it's just a word.
Hmm.
So I don't understand how and why desperately white people want to use the N word.
And I don't understand how desperately some black people want to cape for white people, as if pointing out our own issues somehow absolves them from their massive sins and transgressions. Like, that's
Yeah,
so wild. Like, okay, so yeah, we do this bad thing that maybe we shouldn't do, and it's debated amongst us. So that somehow is taking the spotlight away from the evil that they do. You get what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, there's much more to the story. We have to talk about this part as well. Part of the reason Shiloh Hendrix was able to raise, close to $1 million is because not that long ago there was a young man in Texas. His name was Carmelo Anthony. He was a high school black boy, and the story goes that he was sitting under a tent and it was raining, and he wasn't supposed to be under that tent, but he was just waiting for the rain to stop, and some bigger football players who were white approached Carmelo Anthony, who was black, and said, "Hey, you need to leave this tent." And he's like, "I'm not going anywhere." So this much bigger white boy like threatens him, and he almost tries to attack Carmelo Anthony. I'm not sure if he had a gun or not, but it's Texas, who knows? And Carmelo Anthony ends up pulling out a knife and stabbing this guy, and he dies. Right?
Mm.
Carmelo Anthony is claiming self-defense for this crime, or this alleged crime he committed, and is now awaiting trial. And this happened before Shiloh Hendrix. And so many black people online were donating to Carmelo Anthony's defense fund, and they were saying, like, in several other cases where self-defense has been used by police officers and civilians when killing unarmed black people, they said, why can't we presume the innocence of this young man and fund his defense? And so when Shiloh Hendrix happens a few weeks after the Carmelo Anthony thing has been bubbling, that's a big motivator for many of the people who are donating to Shiloh and stuff like that. So what do you think about that?
I think once again, context, history, institutions, system. It's like you can't compare the two things when, like, on one side you have a person who's been constantly who's who you have a person who's in a group, and that group has been constantly like been fucked with in the criminal justice system. So it's not the same as Shiloh saying the N word in a park. It's
To a
like,
5-year-old child, like, we need to repeat that part. Like, that's the crazy part.
yeah, yeah. So I don't see how like those could be the same thing. But yeah, and also like I hate when these sort of like similar events happen, but when they happen, people with privilege in the society constantly are like blind to their privilege, and they
Hmm.
don't like recognize it, and they don't, they deny the fact that they use it to get advantages and get ahead in life.
Yeah. But what do you think about this, competition that seems to be going on, where, like, one of the motivating factors for people to donate now to Shiloh is to say, see, the black people are killing us. We need to defend our own, and we need to show support for what we like. You know what I mean? It seems to be, is this a recession? We can't be in a recession with all this money floating around. I mean,
First
there
of
are,
all, I just don't believe the statistics that say black people are killing us, because that's not true.
this is definitely not true. Like, that's
Yeah,
the wildest thing.
yeah, that is
Yeah.
not true. And second of all, if you want less dead people in general, then ban guns.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so that argument like is rotten from the beginning, because
Yeah.
that's not a true statistic. They're just
Yeah.
making it up to be racist and find
Yeah.
excuse to be racist.
But I do feel like a big part of the Shiloh Hendrix support is maybe not so much that this was a white woman saying the N word, right? And also because she looks the phenotypical part. I mean, she does give off like meth head vibes, been
Yeah,
to jail once or twice vibes. Like,
trailer
she
park.
looks like a grimy broad.
Yeah, trailer park.
Yeah, very crackhead Avril Lavigne.
A kind of girl Eminem would have dated in the past.
Yes, he wrote Superman about this woman.
Yes.
He wrote, but uh, even though she does come across as very trailer trash, she still is, blonde and skinny white woman holding a baby. So a lot of the alt rights will cling on to her. But there have been other white people who have been caught saying the N word online all the time, stuff like that, right? But they haven't gotten this support. A part of me feels like it's not so much about what she did, but the time that it happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because of Carmelo's situation and also other things, right? Like, whenever white supremacists feel like they're in danger, they have to reassert their power. We get one black president, and now we got 12 years of full on white supremacy. Maybe the rest of the century will be white supremacy just because we had one nigga in office. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, that's how
That
bad it gets.
that's what I'm saying. Like, this sort of comparison war doesn't make sense because white people are privileged in general in the society and around the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, like, oh, they did it, so we have to do it too. Like, this type of competition just is unfair
Yeah.
to begin with, I think. And on top of it, situations are not the same. I'm not saying like, the black kid who stabbed the white kid. I'm not saying like that's right or whatever, but there's just like, it's not as black and white as it is.
I don't even want to
See,
say it.
that's the thing. Like, good people don't even want to say bad shit.
I don't even want to say it. But Kanye has been going on a tear, talking about Hail Hitler and releasing. I don't know. What do you think about, just briefly, real briefly, we'll talk about Kanye and his songs and stuff like that.
This is the thing. I don't even want to give him spotlight because he's
Hmm.
outright. I don't know, because we were also talking about it earlier. I think he either has to be like trolling everyone in the
Hmm.
world, or that he's
Hmm.
completely and utterly like gone crazy. So
Hmm.
it can be either one of those options. Because honestly, like, I don't know if he would try to defend it in any way. I don't think it would make sense to any other black person on the planet.
It doesn't make sense to most white people. It doesn't make sense
Yeah,
to most people to be praising Hitler. Like, it doesn't make sense.
yeah.
I really think he's on drugs. There have been rumors he's addicted to laughing gas, like you get at the dentist, and he even says it in the song. And yeah, I really think he's having a lot of mental issues. I think the situation he has with Bianca is not really a real marriage, and maybe he feels also ashamed of that sham he's putting on. And on top of that, him being a gay man after admitting that he, gave head to his cousin till he was 14. And by the way, I don't think we need to know the age difference between him and the cousin, because in the tweet it says I gave him head till he was 14 or till I was 14 or something like that. It's a bit ambiguous. Who was 14? Was
I
Kanye
think
18
around
and
the same age.
sucking the 14-year-old dick?
I think they were around the same age. But
Either way, we need more clarity, and it's still sick and disgusting, and I
I
think
mean,
he's going through a lot.
no matter what he's going through, I don't have any sympathy for him because he is one of the privileged people in the world who has a lot of money.
Hmm.
And so, like, he should be able to go to rehab. He should be able to go to therapy or whatever that he can do to get help. Like, he has those options. He's not a crackhead living in a trailer park. So I just have zero sympathy for him. If he's really that bad, then he should get help. And I'm sure there are people around him that like tell him that he should get help. So
Do you think he donated to Shiloh Hendrix?
probably yes.
Probably. Kanye probably donated to Shiloh, and we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
considering Shiloh's reasoning of why he
hmm.
called the child the N word, I think it
Hmm.
makes sense for Kanye.
Yeah. Going to the comments here from Raw Hotel and You Don't Like My Music. Rahotep and You Don't Like My Music are going back and forth a bit about, whiteness and things like that. And I just want to make my position clear. Like, whiteness is not real. I mean, whiteness is a social construct. It was just made as a way to uh, lift a certain number of Europeans above the African while they were doing the transatlantic slave trade. And yeah, it's just a social construct that was made over several centuries. I covered it greatly in the book I read, Racism in Europe from 1870 to 2000 by Neil McMaster. Go check that out on the channel. And going to Nelson Moreno, he says, I think he has a narcissistic personality disorder, which is made worse with manic episodes. The cousin was six, even worse. Even
Ew.
worse. If you were sucking, no, I'm not even going to say it. He's just
Yeah,
gross,
please.
man.
No one wants to imagine that.
Yeah, yeah. So no, You Don't Like My Music says there are only three different types of ancient skeleton: Caucasoid, Negroid, and Asiatic. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Sounds a bit race essentialist to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Phenotypes historically disprove me. I don't know what Rahotep is getting at here, but back to Shiloh Hendrix, right? So yeah, we were watching that Piers Morgan situation, and we you mentioned it earlier about the CEO of Give Send Go. And the CEO of Give Send Go was saying, like, we're a Christian platform. We want people to be able to come onto our platform and get redemption and help from the world. People come on here and raise money for cancer treatments and medical procedures that they can't pay for in the richest country in the world. And so many other things, like, our staff prays with our people. We called up Shiloh Hendrix and we prayed for her. And then Piers Morgan asked him, what about the child that was affected by this situation? And the man said the worst thing I've ever heard. He said, well, what about him? I was like, oh, that's so gross. That was so gross. What did you think of that CEO when he was talking?
Yeah, he definitely seems like someone who's trying to be like PC, but he
Mm-hmm.
also doesn't have a lot of shame in his
Yeah.
white supremacy as well. So yeah, he's like not outright like that other lady in the Piers Morgan show, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but he's also not ashamed of like what his organization is enabling.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of crazy to me every time like these white Christians are just so anti-black, while a lot of the black communities in America are so Christian. Like they
Yeah.
are believing in the same God. It's both Jesus, but they are so like you know it's just like I feel like if you are truly about Christianity, then you should embrace anyone who's Christian, including any race.
Yeah. No, Akdi and I watch Pop the Balloon, and every time somebody goes on Pop the Balloon, literally every person they ask, so what's your relationship with God? I'm deep in the church. Jesus is the number one man in my life. Like, black people love them some Jesus, boy. Like, I was shocked because I started watching Pop the Balloon, and I'm like, people are really, the way people date now and talk about things is just insane. But yeah, it is very prevalent. Like in America, everybody claims to be, Christian, but they all have different interpretations of who this man Jesus was and what the religion is about. And yeah, anti-blackness in white Protestant Christianity runs so deep that I wasn't surprised, but it reminded me, like, that one segment of Piers Morgan showed how deep the levels of anti-blackness are, because this man said, we want to protect children on Give Send Go. That's why we don't allow women to raise money for abortions. And then Piers Morgan said, well, what about that black child that was affected? And he said, well, Piers, that's a different situation, and it's complicated. But Piers was like, so you want to protect children by not letting them have abortions, but you'll let a black child get racially abused, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
white Protestant Christianity is so hypocritical. That would be so hypocritical.
Yeah.
But any comments?
Yeah, I mean, most of the like people that we talked about today, like their white supremacism is just like I don't know. They love to give excuses. They love to like sort of make sense of their excuses, and I feel like also a lot of people fall for them, which is very sad. So yeah, we have to come up with, I think, just good back arguments, and that might be the only way to actually shut down. And I think like Piers Morgan did a good job, especially for like a former racist person, I guess. I don't follow him that much, but I just generally know that he does say like some racist stuff every now and then.
If I mean, if I really put my swag on, how do you think I would do?
I think you might get like just a couple of pops in the beginning, but I think the ones who stick out, they will like you because you can talk.
Okay.
And
Okay.
not someone who is like just dumb and empty. You have a lot to give and you're very intellectual. So you'll do good.
Okay. Okay, that's funny. That's funny.
Ra Hotep also asked, how may I join the discussion? I don't know if he can, but
Rahotep, you want to join the discussion? I don't know what you mean, man. I
like
mean,
come on live, I think.
okay. I mean, do you want to come on live, Rahotep? I mean, we could open up a call line, maybe. I don't know, man. Y'all let me know. But I'm just gonna put in this silly poll to see what we get here. All right, he says, yes, you do. I don't know what you mean, yes, you do. Anyway,
Is there like a button here?
is the button?
Yeah.
I just want to see what the people say. I just really want to see what the people say. But anyway, uh, Rahotep, this isn't a call-in show, but we'll do a call-in show next time, and you can call in and talk. But let us, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know what you mean. Yeah, okay. Anyway, this sounds very threatening.
What is happening? Someone said, is she a
Ra-
woman? Are you talking about me?
I don't know what they're talking
I
about.
am. And
Okay.
funny.
No, we talk about Shiloh Hendrix. Is she a woman?
Oh, she is a woman, yes, also. You can't
Anyway,
blame trans people for this.
no, trans people ain't got nothing to do with this. But yeah, man, that Give Send Go platform and the CEO and the way he was talking, just really showed me like, their community like really sticks together and they're really on code in the sense that, they'll financially support their people, they'll run, ideological plays for them. You know what I mean? They'll say and defend them. You know what I mean? They'll say everybody deserves a second chance and nothing is really wrong here. And, don't judge a person off one bad mistake they make in their life. And I wish, other communities, especially us as Black folks, like we had that sort of grace with each other and that defense of each other because, like, the way they coalesce around their bad actors is something that we don't do in our community. You know what I mean?
But I don't think any community, I don't think any community should be like, um, sort of motivated to do that because that creates discrimination. Like, no, I feel like no one community should be that tight knit together where they can take over the world. And white
Hmm.
community is that. So we should be more open to communicate and, be with other people from every culture and every race and every language and whatever.
Yeah.
It
Hmm.
shouldn't be like, oh, let's as a group, let's just like be together and fight everyone else.
No, I don't
It
think it's
should
like
be like
that.
all of us against white supremacists.
No, but I mean, as long as we're living in a world of white supremacy, right? Like you want people that come from where you come from, that speak your same language and stuff like that, to at least, have your back in a certain situation. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like that's what I'm saying. Like, like if somebody were to accuse you of, something, like you would have your Turkish community to fall back on to like run defense for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing that already psychologically and like within the human nature happens. We do
Hmm.
prefer our in group like mates. We do
Hmm.
support our in group people more than outgroup
Mhm.
people, but it
Right.
should be like in an exaggerated amounts with like
Hmm.
what how it is with white people, for example, who are racist.
Yeah. 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 That's the thing. Like, I guess that's what I'm trying to get at. You know what I mean? Like, the same way the racist white supremacists, coalesce around each other and defend each other. And I would argue they might not even self describe as such. But, like the white Christian man that owns Give, Send, Go, Piers Morgan to some extent for years on his program promoting free speech, free speech, free speech. And then when this situation happens, he realizes, oh, the people that I was promoting free speech for really just want to say the N word and really just want to be racially insensitive and hate people. You get what I'm saying? And like, the social media influencers, like that woman on the panel who says, yeah, I say the N word all the time. And maybe she's grifting, she's just doing it for financial gain. But it's like they all work in a certain network that allows this negative thing to continue to happen. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that
And that's,
that's I think what we should be working to like avoid, rather than motivate people to make more groups like that, no matter what the
mhm.
group is or the race is, because then it's like wherever you turn, there's a white supremacist that's helping another white supremacist, and now we don't have any place to escape.
Yes, 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 exactly. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Christopher Perkins. He left this comment a while back, and I want to bring it back up to highlight exactly what I'm saying. Please continue very clearly articulating real black political media news where Simon Hill keeps it trail. So I want to say thank you to Christopher Perkins for, that comment. And that's the type of support, you know what I'm saying, that we
Of
need,
course.
in our community. Like just supporting people, and, shout out to Avery Adams as well for all the donations and stuff like that. That's the type of support we need when we try to do, positive things in our community. And like the same way the white supremacists, drop big money off somebody doing negative stuff, we need to be supporting our people for doing positive stuff. I guess that's the point I'm trying to get at.
Yeah,
You get what I'm saying?
yeah. Support the positive things, but don't condemn like the negative ones, I guess.
Yeah. Don't condone the negative ones.
Condone, yes.
Yeah. Condemn the negative ones, of course. But going forward, because we're about to wrap this up here. But going forward, like, what should we take away from this situation with Shiloh? What can we actually like you know, prepare for in the future for situations like this? Because the way it's looking in the world right now, like I really think anti-blackness is going to become more prevalent. It's going to become more blatant, and it's crazy because we were living not that long ago in a time when these things were receding, but now it's coming back to the fore so bluntly. And I think it's very possible, like, in a few months or years, that people will just be calling black people the N word in public, and there will be no consequences for it. And any black person that reacts to it, in self defense, is going to be charged for it. You get what I'm saying? Like the social norms are going to start be pulling back so far that people will start doing these things and expecting agitation, and the system will protect those people that agitate and get a response. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, what I take from it is that we should name, we should put our labels carefully, but also we should just like name everything as it is. Like this whole thing that happened with Shiloh is a white supremacist propaganda, and
Mm-hmm.
he is a white supremacist. And I think we like avoid making this situation about different things. We should avoid making this about like pedophilia, or we should avoid making this about free speech, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not. It's solely, I feel like, is about racism. It's about white supremacy, and we should just call it what it is, and make our voices be heard in any type of way we can, whether it's social media or an I don't know, donation against Shiloh to sue her, or whatever. So yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
like we should stop making excuses for ourselves and other people and call it for what it is.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to the comments real quick because they relate to what I want to say. You Don't Like Music says we have to stop using meaningless tropes and cliches as substitutes for debate. Facts. Nelson Moreno says, get ready for the race wars. I'd argue we've been in a race war since 1555. Rahotep says, I'm 67 years old. I've seen it up close. These are all presumably black people from different angles who are giving, their takes on what has been happening, right? And I'm going to say this, I've been called the N word in every country I've gone to. I've been racially harassed and abused and discriminated against in every place I've gone to outside of America. And the one thing that I've learned is that anti blackness is socially acceptable already outside. If you get called the N word in any other European country, any other place in the world, people will debate you all day, up and down, why you should not be offended for being called that, as if it's their right to decide for you as a black person what your name is, who your identity is, what you actually are, because that's how depersonified we have been in the minds of other people. We're not actually human beings. If you are a black person walking this world, you are the walking dead. You are an actual living zombie on this earth, because people will project onto you all sorts of ideas, tropes, and perceptions of who they imagine you to be. And they will try to control your mind and try to control how you are supposed to see yourself. And that is the most disturbing thing. And I think, honestly, it's now coming back full circle to America, right? Like the way people, are arguing with me that I deserve to be called the N word in Albania, they're going to start just doing that in America, right? So, what America sent out, the anti blackness, the racism, they sent it back out in the world. We're about to now absorb that culture again. And, I'm also concerned about transnational whiteness as well. And I'm going really deep as well. I'm sort of all over the place, Acty. Sorry if I'm ranting and bothering you.
Okay.
But I'm concerned more about the idea that that Europeans will stop holding on to their national identities and start clinging more to this transnational idea of whiteness. That we are not all, Slovaks or Italians or Serbians or Bulgarians, but we're actually one unified block of white people, and actually making that a for part of their identity rather than a non-consequential part, right? I'm concerned about that, and we're starting to see. I'm thinking really larger in trends. The European Union to some extent is that in play. NATO is that in play, but I'm concerned about it being a more social dynamic, right? Uh, we see we see some hints of this, pan white European concept in the institutions like the EU and NATO. But if it becomes socially acceptable, say we are white Europeans and we are global whiteness needs to be protected, then we're really in for a shit show. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm really worried about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh huh.
Go ahead.
Oh no. Just want to go to the comments. Um, Avery says race war, wild boar, biracial horror, Lakers and I feel like that's a bar from a rap song. I don't know where that's from.
I
All
have no
right.
idea what that is about.
Yeah. Jolly Roger says, how's pan whiteness going in Ukraine? That's pretty funny. That's why I'm actually, when the war in Ukraine actually happened, I was like, low key, whatever it takes to keep the whites fighting. As long as they're fighting, they at least have less of a time to fuck with us. As long as they're fighting, they have less time to fuck with us. That's what I'm saying. I like that comment, Jolly Roger. But actually say something so I stop rambling. Tell me.
I I don't. I had a point, but now I forgot when you started reading the comments.
Hmm. Yeah. Pan whiteness is real, man. Pan whiteness is real.
Oh,
Transnational whiteness. Go read the book.
I,
Go read the
I
book. I'm sorry. Cyber Racism by Jesse Daniels. Cyber Racism by Jesse Daniels. She talks about transnational whiteness. It's a real concept. I just use pan whiteness because it's the same idea. It's like saying pan blackness, pan Africanness, pan Africanism. Okay. All right. Anyway, continue, Axie.
I remember the point I wanted to say, that I also think there's just so much of a lack of education, and plus rejection of the education about race and around race, because race, like you said, it was created during the colonial times, like to justify transatlantic slave trade, right? And it's been around since then. Still, I feel like some people don't know what it is exactly, because now I feel like we have a lot of white people going around and saying like that's racist against me, and I feel like people are just even more confused about it than they used to, because before it was like, at least perceived as a science, and we all know it's not science now. So as a social contracts, I feel like it's just more confusing, especially if you have, hate in your heart. If you're already like racist, you can find different excuses for it because it's all confusing. I just feel like there should be more education, and also education about race should be accepted in order to
Mhm.
get rid of it, like, or otherwise we won't get rid of it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, that's what I'm arguing in my classrooms all the time. I'm a sociology student, and I hear every day about the gender gap, how there's a difference between men and women, and the opportunities that women have in comparison to men, and how women are, get the short end of the stick in so many of our institutions and in so many of our different various human societies, but there's never that parallel brought up of race. And in fact, if you bring that up about how black people get the short end of the stick in many of our societies, you'll have people antagonistic to that idea, while at the same time they use the same arguments to put to the front that women have a disadvantage in our societies. So I definitely agree with you, Acti, that there needs to be education on this. In the same way that I could have a class talking about, gender, and it could be all men, and all the men agree that there's a disadvantage for women in our societies, the same way there should be a class where it's all white people and all of them 100% can agree, because it's empirically proven that black people have a disadvantage in our societies. But
Yeah,
if you did that experiment where there was a class where they're learning about gender and a class where they're learning about race, about 100% of the people would agree with the gender part, and only 50% would agree with the race part. You get what I'm saying?
yeah, because I don't know, I know that it's not gonna like change everyone's minds about race and racism and white supremacy, but I think it will definitely like immensely affect it, because now kids, learn, especially in America, white kids learn about racism if their families ever do talk about racism from their own white perspective, and that's what they teach their kids,
Mhm.
and it like becomes this cycle of hate
Yeah. Or
or misinformation.
a mad misinformation. There was a white woman who said, black people enslaved white people too. The what? The what?
When and where?
Yeah. But anyway, we're gonna jump into the comments real quick. You don't like my music says, uh, pan whiteness is not the same as pan Arabism or pan Africanism. I know it's not the same because, of course, pan whiteness, transnational whiteness. I'll use transnational whiteness since y'all don't like my pan whiteness idea, even though every white supremacist are at least familiar with the idea that all white people should unify. But since you don't like the term, I'll say it. I'll say transnational whiteness. Of course, transnational whiteness is exclusionary and violent and totally different than Pan Arabism or Pan Africanism. But I'm just pointing out that it exists as a trend or as a movement. I'm not saying that I support it. I don't know what you're getting at here. Pan means inclusive. Yeah, inclusive for the people that we think are like us. Uh, in the case of the pan white supporters, right? Stop abusing language. I mean, I'm just trying to use the language of the colonizer as best as I can. It's not my original tongue. I'm sorry. This is all I have to use. So stop saying pan to sound smart. I will use transnational whiteness now, but I might just use pan to piss you off. Let's talk about pan white. I might just use pan to piss you off. All right, all right. Crypto Hunter says Gen Alpha can't read. Nobody hears Gen Alpha as far as I know. No.
No, but maybe or she is referring to the education part.
Yeah,
But
maybe. Nelson Moreno says the Portuguese invented race and racism. Facts, facts. Shout out Nelson Moreno. He's a smart guy. Rahotep is talking a lot about his experiences dealing with racism in Northern Ireland. Interesting. Um, Jolly Roger is talking about the anti-blackness in the Arab world. I've covered that a lot on my channel, so there's a lot of content about that here that you should look up. And we should do a StreamYard panel. I should hop on StreamYard. I just don't want to pay for it. But you know what? Since my guy Avery is dropping donations, I might sign up for StreamYard. Acty, would you hop on a StreamYard panel with us?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I love the locker room talk.
Okay. Love the locker room. We need some more women in here. Acty, where are your
I
girls
know.
at?
There are no ladies here that can help me.
I know, right?
Talking about like relationships and gender. I'm all alone here by myself trying to defend for the all woman.
I try. I try my best to help you too, you know. I try. But wait, as a woman, is there any defense for Shiloh Hendricks?
This has nothing to do about like with gender. No.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Even the fact that she's a mom it just makes it even worse, because how are you going to have a kid and then abuse another kid?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just ironic and evil.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I don't think this is a woman's issue. There's no excuse for, hating on a child. You know what I mean? Going to Avery, he says, I'm not ready to be on the internet, but if it's private, not posted, I will join. Hey, man, nobody needs to see your face. You know what I mean? But you can always talk and chat with us. You protected over here. Locker room talk is much worse. Yeah. I think we made a little bit of locker talk. I'm going to close this poll on Shiloh Hendricks. Let's see what the results are. What are the results?
33% smash and 7 pass.
Wow. After 12 votes. So I'm glad to see most people passed. I wanted to know who would smash. Who would smash? Nelson Moreno, come to the front.
I know. I was going to say, we know Nelson loves white girls.
Yes, Nelson, come to the front. Come to the front of the congregation. We need to talk to you.
Specifically
Nelson.
white girls.
Oh my God. Now, Avery said he wouldn't smash, but I remember you saying you like women with tattoos, snow bunnies with tattoos. I would let her whip me, said Nelson Moreno. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
Too much.
I'm done. Oh, man. This is a fun live stream, man. I really enjoyed this. Did you enjoy it, acting?
Yes. Yeah, I did.
All right. All right. Well, shout out to Avery Adams, the milkman. Shout out Nelson Moreno. You don't like my music. Rahotep, Jolly Roger, Crypto Hunter, and who was it? Christopher Perkins as well. Many other people hopped into this live stream. We want to appreciate all the love. Salute to everybody who tuned in. And, let us know if there are more topics you want us to cover, if you want us to do live streams like this, and maybe catch y'all next Sunday. Y'all be easy out there. Peace.